This video is sponsored by Squarespace. So,
yeah,
this is news.
This is something that we want to talk about, and it's big news. Because it's big news, I guess. It's big news, whatever. It's surprising news if you don't watch Taliesin and Evitel on YouTube. Do you watch I know you don't, so maybe you'll be surprised by this. Maybe this is surprising news to you. And so the news is this. Shall I read it out?
Go ahead.
Okay.
You've got the big words on your screen.
Thank you.
Read them.
Citizens. Oh, yeah, it's a good point. Actually, it's literally not on your screen.
Yeah, no.
Citizens of Azeroth, we are excited to share that Chris Metzen, bold, capitalized, has taken on a full-time role as executive creative director of the Warcraft universe. Right now, his main focus is supporting our World of Warcraft leadership in creating next generation of adventures. Support, that's a nice way of putting, isn't it?
Very interesting.
That's
could mean
really nice, that is.
Yeah.
That reminds me of when you have like a manager of a football club who was like a legend as a player, and they make him a manager, and you know, it's not going great. And then what they do is they get like another manager, an established manager in, and they're like, he's just the director of football.
Director of football. Is that an actual term?
I need you to understand, you're still the manager, legendary player, who hasn't won a game yet as manager. This guy, this very experienced Champion League winning manager, he's not, he's just the director of football.
I love
He's
that.
just here to support you. That's what it sounds. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying that's what it sounded like. His main focus is supporting our World of Warcraft leadership in creating next generation of adventures. Next generation sounds very exciting as well.
Next generation of adventures. Oh.
If we miss this opportunity to have Patrick Stewart playing the lead in the next World of Warcraft expansion, well, we only have ourselves to blame. Chris was instrumental in developing the foundations of the Warcraft universe. I mean, yes, he basically came up with the lore in one afternoon, like in a notebook.
Yeah.
And we are thrilled for him to rejoin our teams in shaping what's to come. At BlizzCon, he and the team will be sharing what we've been working on. We hope to see you there. This is obviously very, very exciting news.
Ooh.
Wait. WoW 2 confirmed. Well, this is amazing, right? This is something that I want to talk about as well, is people's reactions to this and what they think it means, because people reading like so much into this. But, you know, like I say, this isn't surprising to anyone who watches our channel, because now, over 1 month ago, the 22nd of August, 2023, over a month ago.
Just over a month ago.
11.0 is a Metzen expansion, said Taliesin and Evitel in their video on the weekly reset. His new WoW role is much bigger than we thought. And this is where we shared some of the like rumors we'd heard on the grapevine about the fact that he's actually, you know, having meetings kind of all the time with creative sort of staff there and what have you, and what have you. And you know, it's not like no one believed us, especially when Belialar used this video as a source for his video. She's got more views because, you know, he's Belialar. It's fair enough, really. I'd rather watch him than me. Yeah, so it's not surprising if you watch our channel, but it is always nice to be proved right, which is why I pinned the comment Taliesin was right.
Did you make that comment and then pin it?
What
It was your comment.
I made the comment and then I pinned it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, but there are comments there like just came to say confirmed. You know,
I bet people came
we're
back
getting
for this,
those, right? Yeah, totally. So, you know, this video is full of me. Are you in this video at all? I don't think you are.
I don't think I am, actually.
So we don't actually have your view on this. I give my view on this. And I gave my view on Twitter as well, right? My view is like, I think it's brilliant. I think it's fantastic that Chris Metzen's back. And particularly as he will only be working on the parts of the game that I like. and leaving all of the parts of the game that I don't like to Steve Danusa to do. Which is just nice. Just like
That's really nice of him,
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Really,
just like really
convenient.
Really handy. But I'm aware that one thing we've never had, Evitel, is your view on this development. So what do you think of the whole Metzen coming back? First as like an advisor, you know, director of football, and now as like a major player, like will literally be shaping
the game.
World of Warcraft. Let's just keep it to that at the moment. What are you thinking about that?
Well, I mean, okay, so for one, like people's reactions are not like people are getting really excited, right? And my first response to this is like, man, like people really love to deify Chris Metzen.
Yeah.
He's just like
And
the be-all, end-all. I mean, when he showed up at BlizzCon, everyone just completely lost their shit.
Yeah,
to be
they did.
fair, it was really cool. It was a really cool
Was that
moment.
the BlizzCon where everyone lost their shit seconds before he called Alex Afrasiabi a beautiful, beautiful man?
I forgot about that bit, conveniently.
But they didn't know each other. They barely knew each other.
No.
That's what you've got to remember. They didn't know. They shared
Tally, you're
cigarette
going off
breaks
piste.
every now and then. Sorry, carry
Tally's
on.
going off piste. This is my opinion, by the way. Anyway, right? That being said, I totally get people being hyped for this. Like, I feel quite excited seeing this announcement. Like, kind of, the tone of it, the whole Citizens of Azeroth thing. Like, it feels, this is taking me back to some, like, really old school WoW feels. And I think ultimately, like, I feel like the WoW community as a whole for years now has been longing for this kind of to go back to something, right? And WoW has been, the team and like the PR have been talking about it in that way, even with new expansions like, Dragonflight. It's like it's coming home, right?
Yeah.
Like it's all tapping back into that, not even just nostalgia, but just the feeling of coming back to what we fundamentally understand as World of Warcraft, which is kind of like red versus blue, like orcs versus humans, other stuff too, but it kind of had that like core feeling of it. So there's been a lot of talk of like how that would happen, and like has Dragonflight done that? Like Dragonflight is amazing. It's actually it's changed the game, in more way than one, where it's kind of set the pace to something completely different. Like in that sense, it's become a much more like modern like game, and it's how it's being like delivered and shipped and patches and everything. But I don't know, I think opinion is mixed on whether it's actually made people feel like they've come home, right? Like, we're on the Dragon Isles, we're interacting with loads of kind of like heritage characters and stuff, but there's still that feeling of like, it's like, didn't quite come home. And I think this announcement is absolutely like, just kind of fills people's hearts and souls with hope that whether like you like him or not, or agree with him or not, like I just think it's really cool. I think it's kind of what the community has wanted for a while, and if there's anyone to kind of announce what's happening next, it's him, and I think people trust him. So that's my initial reaction to this.
If I had a game to announce, there's literally no one on earth I would rather announce it than Chris Metzen.
Yeah, right.
To be perfectly honest,
Yeah.
and I think the thing that I take most from it at the moment is like the morale boost, and I think that's really really good. And it's interesting because we know people at Blizz and stuff, and we get sort of inside scoops on some things, but I've never met anyone who works at Blizz who doesn't like Chris Metzen.
Yeah.
And even people who have kind of given us insights into the bad stuff happening at Blizz before and things like that, no one has ever had a bad word to say about Chris Metzen. Everyone is always, over the top gushing about how amazing he is and how brilliant he is to work for, and like how inspiring he is. And that's amazing. And that, even if there was nothing else, which there is, but even if there weren't, that would be worthwhile. Like there's a lot to be said for just having a really inspirational, charismatic figurehead who isn't doing the role of game director, importantly as well.
Exactly.
Game director, you have to be someone's boss. Game director, you have to like eventually at some point you're gonna have to be like, yo, you didn't do that work, or you didn't do it well enough, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. And you're always going to hate that person, like in some small way, right? Even if you really like them, a boss is a boss, yeah? And the great thing about Chris Metzen and his role is, he hasn't really had to be anyone's boss for like the last 20 years. He just he is that mythical kind of creative, right? Who just comes on in on his Harley, probably, walks on in and like just has meetings where he talks about cool stuff. All day, right?
I mean, this is the dream role that I think people think of when they want to develop games or any kind of like creative IP or whatever. It's this like, what is he? Executive creative director of the blank universe. But that's the whole title. It's like executive creative director of insert here universe.
Yeah.
And it is just like the world, the big picture, like world building, just like setting the tone and the foundations, and popping into the ideas, man, like popping into a meeting, telling everyone what you're thinking, what you're envisioning, and then having an entire room full of like really brilliant devs and creatives picking up on those seeds and turning them into something. God, that sounds so satisfying.
So one thing that people are getting really excited about, is this idea that it's not even WoW that he's working on necessarily. Like the post says, Chris Metzen is creative director of the Warcraft universe, right? And in fairness, that was always what his job entailed. Even when he came back in November, it was always he was involved with the Warcraft universe. Right. And he was like an advisor on the Warcraft universe. So this bit isn't new. And likewise, they clarified back then in November as well that at the moment his focus is entirely on World of Warcraft. So a lot of people are like, it means WoW 2, or it means Warcraft 4, or it means like a new WoW kind of game, or a new Warcraft sort of game in a different style or something like that. And it might do eventually, but at the moment, and this is what we've had confirmed to us from Blizzard people as well, which is when we were told about all of this before, it's WoW. My understanding, like I say in the YouTube video, my understanding is like he has meetings literally every day, pretty much, with Ian Hazzikostas and Steve Denuza. Like the three of them in a meeting room together, just like throwing stuff around and spitballing. And like when the next expansion is kind of out and stuff like that, and like, the ball is rolling on the next one, I can totally see him going into other kind of Warcraft sort of areas then. But my understanding at the moment, and I think this is what this says as well, is that, he's WoW, which means the next expansion, certainly, and also means WoW Classic. Has been pointed out, not unfairly, I think, that this is the WoW Classic logo on this tweet. Like WoW Classic, if you go to Battle.net right now, WoW Classic uses the blue W, and retail uses like the yellow one, right? So this is, and I don't know if that's meaningful or not, but it's probably worth picking up on. Maybe. This is the WoW Classic one, because I know a lot of people would like to see a kind of almost like a mirror universe Classic Plus, right? Where they start doing individual Classic expansions. I think
this is just really like good PR and like slightly subliminal messaging, where even if you don't pick up on that, you see that and you're like, that's the old school WoW logo. Yeah. That's none of this like that. That's, right? Now,
I would argue that if you were excited about the idea of a WoW Classic and WoW expansions kind of going off and not going the Cataclysm route, and kind of going on a imagine if Cataclysm never happened and they'd done something else. I would argue that maybe Metzen, the guy who came up with Cataclysm and did Cataclysm, and then missed afterwards, I would argue that maybe Metzen isn't actually the guy you want in charge of a Classic Plus kind of like mirror expansion universe, right?
But maybe because he's already done one, now is his chance to do the other path, right?
Totally.
So no, this is really exciting, and we've got like just over a month before BlizzCon left to go. People are getting hyped. There's been like very minimal news about BlizzCon on the ground.
Good point, actually.
It's been super minimal. Like no announcements. I mean, I know announcements usually come late about what's actually happening. People who are performing, etc., stuff like that. But it's been really minimal, and even like the forums, the BlizzCon like official forums, which are usually full of people like getting quite hyped, it's really quiet at the minute because we just don't have any information. Like there's been this new discussion of like the it's gonna be different now, the seating arrangements are different, the stages are different. This is more of like an experiential experience, for lack of a better word. So I think this is just like, there's a lot of mystery, and this is just like feeding the flames. And of course, if he's going to be there announcing, it's going to be really spectacular.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And he actually obviously retweeted this as well. He said, "It's been amazing working on Warcraft again, like coming home.
There we go.
The stories we're developing right now, how the world unfolds over the next few years. Well, I can't wait to see what you're all, where we're headed." So here's the thing. Like, I do want to just keep it on WoW for the time being.
Sure.
But do you think this means something unexpected for the next expansion of World of Warcraft?
It sounds like it, right? Because at this stage, I'm trying to think of like what kind of WoW expansion could be announced that would make me feel really hyped. And apart from official,
apart from Thrall's World,
yeah, exactly. Well,
like Thrall Reborn,
yeah. And like I kind of struggle to conceive of what it could be. I think maybe because we've been through so many of them. Like we know what, we kind of know what happens, and we know we're going to be taken on a journey and we're going to go somewhere, and we're like, okay. So I mean I would love to see this mean that the game changes or something else happens to like supplement the game universe. Like I know people have to talk about like TV shows on like Netflix. That kind of stuff sounds, I don't know, maybe it's because it's the autumn like is here, like the leaves are turning, it's getting cozy. Like I'm getting into the like seasonal mode where I just really want some like cozy content delivered to me, and I feel like there's some cozy Warcraft content coming. I don't know what that means, but that's how I feel. And they keep saying it. He's like, we're coming home, we're taking the world in some exciting new directions. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's great. Does Metzen come back to fix Kata from the things that they were forced to do due to time? Well, I mean, like we've talked about, the reverse cataclysm for a long time. People want a world revamp, and what they actually want is like a reverse of the cataclysm, right? They want all the scars healed up. They want all the buildings rebuilt. And I get it. I do get it. But I also think that would be a dumb thing to do. And likewise, ain't no one fucking retconning Shadowlands out of existence either. Like a lot of people kind of being like, oh, good, this will make it easier to retcon Shadowlands out of existence.
It's not
going to. I'm really sorry. And likewise, it's like, oh, good, there'll be less focus on the cosmic stuff. And I think it's probably worth pointing out that literally Chris Metzen's last project on WoW and in the Warcraft universe was Chronicle, which is the thing that literally gave us the Cosmos chart and realigned the Cosmos and made it more important and like codified it even more, which has been the springboard for all of the Cosmos stuff since. Like, so again, I think we're making like assumptions about Chris Metzen based on Chris Metzen from like 20 years ago, and not looking at his more recent stuff. And literally the last thing we know of that he did on Warcraft was give us the Cosmos chart, which has been like the map sort of ever since. I'm all in favor of him going more Cosmos. And yes, so it's possible that the theme of the next expansion won't have been anything to do with him. But also, remember, by the time he announces this expansion at BlizzCon, which he definitely will.
Yeah, he will.
He will have been working on it for a year, and that's a long time. Yeah. And having this role of being in a room with Danusa and Ian Hazakostas, and therefore being one of the three people with the most creative input on that expansion. Like, he is one of those three and has been for the last year. So like it's possible that maybe the main theme of it won't have been decided upon by him, but pretty much everything else, like what zones are and what they're called, like the characters that will be in those zones, like the main narrative kind of shape and plot points and all that other stuff that Chris Metzen's great at, and like he's gonna have had a lot to do with it. And the thing is, right, we heard that he was back on board last November. Like, we've just heard this months after it actually happened. Yeah. So like, he's been there since before that. He was working on this game before last November. 100%. Yeah,
probably.
And like, it feels like his role has been given a better name, but my understanding is he's kind of been doing this all the time he's been back.
Yeah, because how could you not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because even if he's there, it's just kind of like, I'm just an advisor, I'm just here in the background.
Totally.
Of course everyone's just going to want to sit him down in a room and be like, okay, what do you think? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, tell me But yeah.
And like, it was always going to be one or the other, wasn't it? It was either going to be he does literally nothing, and he's just there as kind of as a symbolic figure, which I thought seemed more likely, right? And like he would come in and be like, "Yo, need bigger shoulder pads."
Yeah, just a human morale boost.
Yeah, every now and then. He's like, I like it, it's cool, but we need bigger shoulder pads.
Yeah.
Or, he wouldn't be able to, and he would just kind of like, take the reins to some degree, and it does feel like that, certainly, and that's great. I think that's a really, really good thing. I think also he literally cannot lose, because everything that's good about the next expansion will be because of him, and everything that's bad about it will not be because of him.
Well,
and like they'll be like, F you Blizz for restraining Chris Metzen and not letting him do what he wanted, not letting him carry on the good work that he started in Warlords of Draenor. But I can't believe you didn't let him do that. And that's, like, I'm joking because it's my job to joke, and like it's hard to joke without sounding down on stuff sometimes. But obviously, I'm incredibly excited. I think it's like fantastic for the team. I know, people are in Blizzard of it, and that's important for me.
Yes,
because when you hear this, you go, oh, I wonder if anyone's like nose is put out of joint by that or something.
Yeah, so everyone's loved it.
Yeah, everyone we've spoken to,
yeah.
and that includes people kind of mid-level and high level as well, are absolutely thrilled by it, and genuinely so as well. Belle seems to have heard a few of the story team aren't happy he's back.
Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel, which somehow continues to be a World of Warcraft channel despite my regular petition to go full hog on the Baldur's Gate romance playthrough angle. I digress. First things first, let's give a big hand to Squarespace, who are very generously sponsoring today's video. So the thing I really love about party-based RPGs is just that, the party! Hey! No, but really, I love assembling my little guys and gals and setting off together, each of us playing a meaningful role and supporting one another in a unique and valued way. Not you, Gale. And I was thinking how Squarespace is just the same. No, but hear me out. It's like every feature and resource Squarespace has to offer is like another brilliant companion in your party. You have the classic tank, the Squarespace editor. Simple, but simple is a good thing, and a strong backbone for everything else. The fluid engine, a design system as infinitely tweakable and frankly magical as your resident sorcerer. Analytics, the ultimate insight check into how your site is performing, maybe thanks to a canny rogue. And then there are the features that aren't so great, that, fail to perform, that set off traps even though you just did a perception check on them, that fall over indiscriminately. The Gales. But who am I kidding? All of the features on Squarespace are brilliant. There's no room for stragglers here. Sorry, Gale. Listen, I'm just salty after being burned by my video game wizard boyfriend, but you've got a party for the ages on Squarespace. Begin your website adventure with a free trial, and when you're ready to go live, go to squarespace.com/Taliesin Evitel or use code Taliesin Evitel to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/Taliesin Evitel. Oh, heavy armor. That goes to the editor. Editor always gets the heavy armor.
Well, I have to say, that's not what I've heard at all. That's not what I've heard at all. That goes against what I've heard. In fact. Yeah. Different sources, different strokes, How do you think Blizz will try and win people back to retail?
Bring Chris Metzen back.
There'll be a booth at BlizzCon where you can go and like just get kissed by Metzen, but you have to pre-order 11.0.
Purely consensually.
The Kiss Metzen booth, like in emergency break glass.
I settle for his like extreme charismatic aura. It's just, and that man like walks into the main hall of BlizzCon and everyone goes nuts. He fills the entire room with like just his presence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be an absolute joy to witness.
When we go to BlizzCon and we meet people and we meet staff and things like that, and there's no reason why anyone who works on Blizz on WoW should give a shit about us at all. Literally no reason.
No.
And that's why it's always a thrill why they do. And there's a scale of excitement that WoW devs have had when they've met us, and anything over like complete indifference is an absolute thrill for us, obviously, as well. But I can't even tell you who like the most excited person was to ever meet us from WoW, but there are two people who I could tell you were the least excited that we've ever met. One of them was Chris Metzen, and one of them was Alex Frasiabi. Do you remember when we saw Alex
Yeah.
Frasiabi in the interview room?
Yeah, he
And
did not give a shit.
He like strided past, and you were like, "Is that Brian Halinka?"
No, I did not. I did not
And I
say
was
that.
like, no, you were like, "Who is that?" And I was like, "That's Alex Frasiabi." And you were like, "I don't like him." And how right, we didn't even know how right you were, but you were like, "I just don't like his vibe. I don't like him. I don't like him
I
at all."
remember that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Evitel took an instant dislike to Alex Frasiabi after passing him in like a room.
No.
And the other time, and when we met Chris Metzen, we were standing with Scott Johnson up in the press room. And Scott Johnson obviously is really good friends with Chris Metzen.
Of course, and I like love and trust Scott. That's the thing. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, no reason why Chris Metzen should want to talk to us or even know who we are. And the fact is, both of those things were true. He did not want to talk to us, and he did not know who we are.
But he was really kind and just really nice.
It was really funny because Scott Johnson was like, "Oh, these are my friends Taliesin and Evitel," and Metzen was like, "Yo," and then it's like,
no, but it wasn't dismissive. It was kind of like an instant like familiarity. Again, he has like really like powerful.
Oh mate, he's got an aura, man.
He does. He
definitely.
has like big vibes. That somehow manages to transcend a lot of like barriers and stuff. So yeah, this is really exciting news. I just I'm not one to be like, oh my god, he's back, but seeing the community reactions and like knowing all of this, I'm really hyped.
Yeah. Well, Darth, I will not hear a word against Ian's Legion announcement, because I think Ian's Legion announcement was one of the all-time great announcements.
No, I like that one.
Like it was really good. He was cheeky. He was mischievous. And like later on when he revealed, and that, you know, there was a whole different event when they revealed 7-2 and 7-3, but you know, I count in my memory they're the same thing. And when he came on and he revealed those, and you could tell by his face he was about to do something big. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it was no, like that was a really good announcement, the Legion one. Like, and not just because Legion turned out to be really good. It was a genuinely good announcement. Yeah, totally. Anyway, I'm certainly very excited about it.
Same.
I know this sounds so dumb. My one worry is Steve Danusa, but Steve Danusa seems like a good guy, and he actually seems like a very generous guy. Most of the people I know who talk about him, who are on the story team, describe him as generous in, you know, the kind of hands-off approach that he takes to them a lot of the time. And you know, I don't think he would take any of this personally or let it affect him. Or
I don't think
he
he
worry
would.
about him on a human level.
Yeah, exactly. Because I've seen what the internet is like. But no, I think they like, because as a team, like they know what's up, and when you get the three of them in the room, like Ian and Steve and Chris, like they know what's going on. They know how they're being perceived. So I am not worried about them.
No. I like Steve. I think he's a clever guy.
Me too.
I think if you're interviewing all three of them separately, there are things you can get from Ian and Steve that you can't get from Chris Metzen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
There's a certain kind of level of answer on some things that you can get from Ian Hazzikostas that you can't get from Chris Metzen. It's one of the reasons I've always really liked Ian Hazzikostas, you know, and he's been pretty much in charge since we started making videos, and I've always been a big fan of him. I think he's a good game director, and I really, really like the cerebral approach that he takes to answering questions from the community, and the seriousness with which he treats questions from the community, and I really like that. That, like, Ian Hazzikostas, there's nothing rock star about him at all. In many ways, he couldn't be more opposite to Chris Metzen, and I've always really appreciated that. But, you know, I'm glad that last year we all agreed to stop treating devs like rock stars, and here we are.
Well, it's like, a different thing. But actually, you kind of touch on something. This is, maybe there's something, you know, good things come in threes, right? And there's something, you know, instills me like with hope, knowing that it's not just Metzen coming back, it's him coming back, like, and fitting into this already existing system where you have, you've got like Ian, cerebral, like game directing, And then you've got like Steve looking after some narrative and like maybe going like a little more like freeform and fanciful. And then you get Chris, who's like old school, like wielding the doom hammer. And do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And, you know, this is all entirely like speculative, but based on kind of what it's like the
it's a war
Infinity
council.
Gauntlet. Yeah,
we've just done what the Forsaken have done and what the Horde have done, man. We've gone from having a war chief to a war council, and I think that's a good. As long as it turns out like the Horde and Forsaken war council, and not like the Game of Thrones kind of like council, we'll be absolutely fine. Everything will be really, really good.
So I kind of have faith in this idea of this like triumvirate looking after the WoW universe.
Have you heard of the layoffs at Blizz again? Dude, got to pay Metzen salary somehow. Man loves the game. He's not worth for free.
Yet, actually.
No, that's crass and horrible. And you know that like layoffs are the and there's no need. Are you telling me that Hearthstone isn't making the money? Are you telling me Hearthstone isn't making the profit? You telling me Hearthstone like is losing money out the ass and is like, oh, the only way we can survive is to cut these jobs to the people that actually do the work? Bullshit. Bobby Kotick isn't standing in front of the shareholders and being like, sorry guys, no money for you this month because Hearthstone ain't making no money. It's absolute bullshit. Like it's just so stupid. There'll be loads more layoffs as soon as Microsoft take over as well.
Restructuring.
Yeah, totally.
So
really my heart goes out to obviously any person losing their job just so some rich dick can get richer, but particularly game devs at a company that I really, really like. It sucks. Love the devs, hate the company. Love the workers, love the labor, hate the bosses. I mean, you can say that about pretty much everything. It honestly doesn't matter if Hearthstone makes money or not. Like it's not like the people who work for Hearthstone can sit there and go, we made tons of money this month, we made loads of money. I think our jobs will be safe, because that's just not how it works, is it? Like, let's be honest. Unfortunately, should work like that, but there we go. I'd love to see more employee-owned game companies. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. Absolutely. I think that's a really good thing to do. Yeah, totally. I think it gives people investment in the product they're making, and loads of indie studios like that, Larian is one of them, don't forget, are producing some incredible work right now. So yeah. Isn't Larian a co-op? Well, I mean, Sven is the majority. Sven and Sven's wife are the majority shareholders in Larian. The rest of it is owned by Tencent, but they control it. And I mean, he is the CEO, but he's also labor. He works on the games, so it's not the same as Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, Bobby has no vision for World of Warcraft, right?
Whereas Sven has been game director on every game that Larian has ever put out, right? Yeah. So he is the labor. Anyway, guys, thank you for talking to us about Chris Metzen. I really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Too.
You needed to get it done. I'm really sorry that there's bad Hearthstone news as well to go with that. And
something
like I say, sorry to everyone involved with that. Come and work for Taliesin and Evitel. We need editors. We need writers. We need people who can...
We need talent, man.
Maintenance, like computers.
We need people.
Yeah.
We need a face.
Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow our editor, Ryla. He's amazing. Okay, thanks, Ryla. Cheers, mate. Cheers.